In my last video, we journeyed to the land of disappointment and brought back a whole bunch of Dragon Ball Super. But today, we're going to be ranking the top 7 anime of all time in respect to their SGLs, or subjective goodness level. The only parameters I have for this list is that I will not be talking about the manga, and filler will be included in my decision-making process, as that is the way the story was presented to us in the anime. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into the video. Kicking off our little list at number 7, we have an anime that I've picked up and dropped multiple times in my life, but is ultimately the show that got me into anime permanently, Naruto. I started watching the original Naruto on Toonami when I was in 2nd grade, and I loved the show so much that I dressed up as Sasuke that year for Halloween. Sure, I was too afraid to go out trick-or-treating because it wasn't really cool to be into Naruto back then, but that didn't stop me from loving the show so much I convinced my mom that reading the subtitled version of the anime counted as reading time for my homework. What really makes this a standout show to me is the fight scenes and the history. I know, these two concepts are vastly different, but hear me out. 3 of my top 5 favorite fights in anime are from the Naruto franchise as a whole, and that's crazy. Naruto Shippuden in particular have fight scenes that are powerful, fluid, weighty, creative, and often carry a ton of emotional weight that culminates in many of the fight scenes being less 2 people fighting and more 2 people communicating with their fists. How do you make history a cool part of an anime, you may ask? Just have such good world building that the audience craves knowing more about the lore. The one thing that holds this show back to this spot is the filler. Seriously, what the fuck? The next show on our list is my personal comfort show of choice. Yu Hakusho does almost everything right. It's paced perfectly. It never feels bogged down or like it's trying to explain too much too fast. So many modern shows struggle with pacing these days that when I first watched this show in late 2016, it immediately stood out to me as great. Another great thing about this show is the art style. I'm on record for mostly preferring a more modern feel to my anime. However, Yu Hakusho is different because the art style of this show feels comfortable and nostalgic, not old and gross. The character dynamics are also a huge plus. Watching Yusuke and Kuwabara slowly grow to respect each other throughout the show is always a treat. The biggest downside of this show is the fact that many of the plot points feel rather predictable due to them being cliché by today's standards. If they came out with a new season today with a good studio behind it, I have no doubt this would be lower on the list. Number 5 is going to shock a lot of people. Actually, hold on. It's One Piece. Now before you dislike the video and leave mad, let me explain. One Piece as a work of fiction is by far my favorite property, period. The manga is amazing, and most of the movies are really good. Where One Piece loses me is in the anime. The One Piece anime is one of the worst examples of bad pacing in all of storytelling. Okay, that was a bit dramatic, but seriously, the anime will take a scene that takes 2 panels in the manga and stretch that out into like 10 minutes. The fact that this show is still in my top 5 is a testament to the show's overall storytelling, the characters, and its amazing world building. I'm going to leave the One Piece talk here as I already made a video on it, but just know, it hurt me more than it hurt you to put it this high on this list. Coming in at number 4, we have an anime that most people don't know exists, but should. Great Teacher Onizuka is not one thing. On the surface, it's a story about a 22-year-old pervert who wants to teach at a high school just to get close to teenage girls. But when you dig deeper, it's a show about a man with ironclad morals who grows to really care about all of his students on a deeper level than anyone thought possible. Onizuka as a character is completely unique in this show because unlike all of his straight-laced, prestigious college graduate coworkers, he's just an ex-gang member trying to make school fun. The real strength to Great Teacher Onizuka, other than the Chad lad himself, is how the show covers such a wide variety of topics. In one episode, he's playing video games with a little nerdy kid. In the next, he's helping another student escape from the police and the Yakuza. If I had to sum up Great Teacher Onizuka in one word, it'd be unique, and that's why I love it. Also, I didn't really know where to put this in the video, but the faces that Onizuka make in this show are seriously top tier comedy in anime. Everything on the list from here on was genuinely difficult to put in any order, and these 3 are definitely fluid. With that hedging out of the way, my number 3 is a popular, yet still underrated anime, Mob Psycho 100. I'm not even sure where to begin with this show. Mob Psycho 100 wasn't even on my radar until Nux Taku made a few videos on it, and boy am I glad he did. This show is a powerhouse in comedy, action, art style, and character writing. The visuals for this show are perfect. They hover somewhere between stunning and seizure, but that's really what I'm looking for in this style of anime. In my opinion, the animation is either the best or tied for the best, with an anime a bit lower on this list. The dynamic between Mob and Reigan is perfect, and not to mention hilarious. The way the writer could take a character like Mob, who is pretty close to all-powerful, and make everything that happens to him and his friends feel like it has some sense of danger to it is amazing. I cannot say enough good about this series, but unfortunately there is more to talk about, but I will for sure do a separate video on Mob Psycho 100 later. I've been hesitant to put my number 2 pick in my top 5 in the past because I was afraid I might be suffering from recency bias, but seeing as the anime has been out for a little while now, I do not think that is the case. When Demon Slayer came out, it shocked me with how amazing it was. If you couldn't tell by this point in the video, I really care about art style and animation, and Demon Slayer is the anime I was talking about in the number 3 spot for being either the best or tied for the best. In the normal moment-to-moment animation, the show is stunning with its thick line style and really cool character designs, but it's the fight scenes where the anime really shines. The first time I saw Tanjiro get in an altercation after his training, I was shocked by the beauty of the fight scenes in this show. The water coming off his blade really encapsulates how powerful and fluid each one of his attacks are, and it's breathtaking. No pun intended. And don't even get me started about Tanjiro himself. This man has revolutionized what a shonen protagonist can and should be. He is kind but fierce, funny yet deadly serious, and stack on top of this the first example of a shonen whammon being not only useful, but being a complete and total badass, you've got one of the best dynamic duos in anime of all time. If I had to make a complaint about the show, it'd be Zenitsu. I guess he's there for comic relief, but in both the dub and the sub, most of the time I find it unfunny and just annoying. Before I get to the honorable mentions, comment below if you'd rather see a video on Mob Psycho 100 or a video on Demon Slayer next. With that out of the way, here's my cheeky little honorable mention section. These are all very good anime and didn't make the cut largely because of my personal tastes. My number 1 pick feels almost cliche at this point, but that does not take away from its brilliance. Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are the best example of how something can be beyond popular and yet still truly amazing. If I'm being honest, it does get quite a few points for being my gateway into anime. I mean, I've been watching it literally since I was a toddler, but it also gets a ton of points for just being overall good. Sure, sometimes the pacing could be better, but when I was first watching Goku transform, I didn't care that it took 2 episodes of screaming. This is one of those anime that you have to watch. And if I could wipe my brain of all of Dragon Ball, I would, just so I could rewatch all of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z over again for the first time. At some point, I thought I only liked Dragon Ball Z because of the flashy transformations, but when I went back and watched all of Dragon Ball, I realized, yeah, the transformations are cool, but it's more about the lovable characters, hilarious moments, and great fight scenes that keep me truly invested. To put it bluntly, anything that can keep somebody hooked for over 18 years must be a truly good show. So those are my top 7 anime. If you have any differing opinions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. And while you're down there, don't forget to vote on which video you'd like to see next. I really like to listen to what the audience wants to see rather than just doing whatever I want to do, so just let me know what you guys want to see next. Also, I'm going to be featuring a comment in each video that I thought was really nice or cool or whatever. This week it's Hayden Rice. He was really nice in his comment, and I don't think that he was subscribed, and I'm not sure if he is now. It's kind of ambiguous, but thanks Hayden, I really appreciate your comment, and if you want to be featured in my next video, go ahead and comment something down below. I don't really care if it's nice or mean, whatever. I'll feature pretty much anything if I enjoy it or think it's funny or whatever. So yeah, just make sure you comment something down below to be featured in my next video, and I'll see you guys next Sunday.